Hey, welcome to Spirit Soul Sense, information for your soul. I am Shareece, and I watched Marriage Story. Marriage Story stars Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver. Really enjoy Adam Driver. And their performance is exquisite. I mean, it is moving, it is so believable. I'm like, it must be amazing to be such good actors. And I can only imagine the energy in the room when they were performing. So, Marriage Story is a love story, it's a divorce story. It got me all in the feels because I love love. I really love love. And I really love real stories about love. And so I know this is based on, maybe loosely, maybe closely, based on the director and the writer's like experience in his own life. And so like those stories just really hit close to home. And I think we can all, even if we've never been married or divorced, like you can feel the love, the energy that these two people were having in the midst of trying to figure out, like, what do we do with this life that we have that we're no longer planning on sharing together? So I'm not a cinematographer, but I love art. I think movies are art. My favorite type of movies to watch are like movies that have meaning. And then like on the opposite side of that, movies that have monsters. I absolutely love monsters because art, like somebody had to imagine it, create it, like show it, and then like I get to see like their thought process. I love it. But anyway, there is a scene where Scarlett Johansson is talking to who will be her divorce attorney. And the way they set it up, it was so odd. Like the divorce attorney talks about how like she's dressed like not nicely or something. And she's like definitely in very expensive clothing. She takes off her shoes and she goes and sits on the couch that's in her office, right? Because she has to make people comfortable when they come into her office. This is like one of the lowest points in life. Like divorce is like one of the worst things I think anyone can go through. One of the other divorce attorneys described divorce as a death with no body. And I've definitely heard different people describe divorce as a death. Like it's a death of a relationship. It's the death of a life together. And so it's all kinds of sad. Even if the people aren't mad at each other. In this case, they kind of held some resentment. But even if people are amicable in like ending the relationship, like it's still ending. It was still this thing that you thought would last forever, and it's like now ending. So the scene where she's talking to her divorce attorney for the first time, and you know, she gets up, it's like one long scene, like they have a lot of monologues, and I'm just wondering like how many takes did it take to get this? And then it's like so emotionally charged that it must have been draining for the actors, but this is what they signed up to do. So in this scene, which didn't really feel like it fit, but in terms of monologues it did, she gets up from the couch, goes into the bathroom to like wash her hands, blow her nose or something, and then comes back out, and all the while she is talking about the relationship, how it started, all the things that she gave up to be in the relationship. And I feel like I'm a fly on the wall. Like I actually feel like there's an actual woman in attorney's office talking about this experience of, I feel like I lost myself in my marriage and I'm trying to figure out what to do now because I love him and I care for him and we want the best for our kid, but I don't want to do this anymore. It just felt so real. The way they set up the camera, not moving, but the character moving, it was an experience. There are a lot of very emotionally poignant moments in the film. And I heard Adam Driver in one video on YouTube I was looking at talking about how when he's usually doing movies, there's usually, you know, 1 or 2 or 3 scenes that are heavy. And you're like, so we gotta do this today because, you know, it's gonna take a lot out of you. And he said every scene sort of felt like heavy and deep and very emotional. There's like this underlying tension between the two of them and like a miscommunication and all the things unsaid. So there's this one scene where he's asking her like, hey, I think the kiddo should wear, you know, this Frankenstein costume, and aren't we gonna do Halloween together? And she is saying to him basically, I don't want you there. It's like she's not actually using those words to say that. She's saying, this part of my family doesn't really want you to be around. And I think the kid wants, this costume. But then at the end of their decision that they're going to do separate Halloweens, she sort of slams the door and like walks away quickly. This reminds me a lot of like one of the opening scenes where they were working on a play together and like it came to fruition, and then like all the castmates, everyone went out to eat after, and Scarlett Johansson's character left right when he was approached by a woman who we find out he was having an affair with. And he rushes home with her because he knows like she's feeling some type of way. And like the whole right before she goes to bed, where he wants to like give her a critique. It's like a thing he does about her acting performance. This like space where people get to know each other so well. And she's like, you won't sleep well if you don't tell me. Just tell me, get it over with. And then she says, good night. She says good night to him, walks away and starts crying. That's definitely something I would do. Oh my God, definitely something I would do. I mean, from an actor's perspective, I don't act, but like I can't cry on cue. And it was just so real. There were so many real moments in this. Two other like very like emotionally charged scenes. The one where they already have their divorce attorneys like in full swing, but Scarlett Johansson's character comes in to say, how can we work this out? Like, how can we like figure this out? Our attorneys have said like some hurtful things that we've said about each other, and we were in this, so like we have to be able to come to some kind of reasonable solution to this. And everything went left. Like it was everything that needed to be said that wasn't said, and then lots of shouting, lots of hurtful things said, and then like they just both break down crying, him more so than her. I feel like he's losing a lot with her wanting to live in LA now, and their kid living in LA, and them actually not being a New York family. Listen, I cried so much watching this thing because I felt so moved by the difficulties. I am the person who thinks that family is everything, right? It's God, then family for me. And the whole love aspect of family, and we are going to be in this together, and we are our support team, it's just very moving for me. And so even though like they were going through this divorce, they lost some respect for each other, but I still thought that the love was flowing through. So the other like really emotionally charged, I don't know if it was it was just scary when Adam Driver's character cut himself on the arm. And it's like, I wouldn't do anything like that to myself, but I might do something else like that to myself. The stress, I just don't function well under too much stress. They say some stress is good, and I can definitely handle more stress than the average person, I think. I think I've done things in my life that have been more than what the typical person goes through. And I like felt, just the energy of him trying to get the woman who was like observing his parenting skills for the day out the door, and then also like trying to clean this up, and then I still have my kid here, and like the back and forth of it all was just like a representation of, this is our experience right now. I am just so overwhelmed. There's just so much going on. I was there, but I was like, I've never been divorced. I've never cut myself like that before, but this feeling of overwhelm. I think marriage is for the evolution of our souls, and so you can see in this film how each person became stronger, stood true to their values in the end, or were reminded that my goal is not to win. My goal is what's best for our child, that I can still have a full life, even though you are not a part of my life anymore. Adam Driver's character, I think, learned about compromise, because in the beginning, like, that's not something that ever really occurred to him. Like, his wife was an extension of himself, and she just helped him become better, right? She was just like him as an actor, And Scarlett Johansson's character was lost in her marriage. Like, she really had no identity. She just didn't even know what she liked. She just was fine to go along with everything that, her husband decided for them. And I think that's a thing that happens all the time in relationships. It's really about like finding yourself, finding your voice, finding the balance in the relationship, and being able to communicate that to your partner. It's really not healthy to let all the decisions about life be on the other person, right? You need to be able to say, this is what I like, this is what I want. And even if what you like and what you want is the same thing as the other person you're in a relationship with, you know it, right? You know what it is you like, and you've thought about like your comfort level with the way your life is going. And so these two characters, I think in the end, right, they actually get divorced. This is not a story that ends with them like figuring things out and coming back together. No, it's like a real life thing. It ends with mutual respect. It ends with like love and care and doing what's best for their kid. And I think a lot of our lives, are filled with, relationships that have ended, relationships that have transitioned to something else. And there's beauty in that too. There's a lesson in that too. And all we have to do is be able to tune in, listen, receive whatever it is that the universe, God is trying to show us. And I think in the end, these two characters really did that. So it was a beautiful story. It was really exquisite. And I just loved every moment of it, tears and all. So if you watch it, if you've seen it, let me know what was like the most emotional moment for you, or which scene really stood out for you. Thank you for watching.